If you could spend a moment with some remarkable people and discover what the life sounds like, what would you ask? Welcome to Are We On Air? An audio encounter. I'm ARMAN, NAFÉEI, and each episode will feature one conversation with an inspiring friend of mine who will share with us the soundtrack to their life. Welcome back to another episode of Are We On Air? This week's guest is one of the greatest photographers of our time. His name is Wolfgang Tillmans. Wolfgang and I had a fun and insightful chat in his studio in Berlin about his photography, his inspirations, the COVID crisis in comparison to the HIV crisis, and about our shared passion of, well, music. What you might not know is that Wolfgang is an avid music head and producer, and I'm excited to play you a world premiere here at Are We On Air of Wolfgang's latest track, which will be released today, Can't Escape Into Space. This week's episode will be the last one for this crazy year, and I hope to find you all in good spirits and health in the new year. Spread the love, and I'll speak to you soon.
Change, but not be seen changing. He wants to change, but not be seen changing. We can't escape into space, we're in it. Wants to change, but not be seen changing. We can't escape into space, we're in it.
All right. So we're here in Berlin, Kreuzberg. It's Kreuzberg, right?
Kreuzberg, yes.
In the studio of the fantastic photographer, artist, music maker that is Wolfgang Tillmans. Welcome, Wolfgang.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure.
I just got a preview of your latest track, which I'm so excited. I'm so honored. And your new video, Can't Escape Into Space. How fitting for our times, especially looking at Elon Musk and SpaceX. We can't escape it, we're in it. Tell me, what's the story behind this track?
I mean, it's obviously it has corona connotations, even though this realization that there is no separation between us and outer space, or us and the environment, the world we live in, has been something that has been with me for some years. When I was working on Neue Welt, on this book for which I traveled across 5 continents and over 30 countries, I titled the introduction interview with Beatrix Ruf, Life is Astronomical. And based on this realization that what goes on this planet, for example, when we say save the planet, it's as if we are separate, as if we can, look at it as a separate entity that we can do something to, when in fact we are it. And the same with this, this space idea, like just to look at it all as one that we are connected with.
Yeah, it's not like we are running away from Earth and trying to get into space. We are space. Actually, Native Americans that was their philosophy, and they are one with Earth. It was no separation to it, And then, when the English came, it was there. The idea of possessing Earth or piece of land didn't exist in their vocabulary, So I think we've lost that over the centuries. But hopefully it's coming back. I mean, this pandemic clearly showed us how small we are when Mother Nature bites back, and how inferior we are.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, but one thing that keeps us going is, of course, our creative juices and, being creative in during these times. And one of the things that I created was this interview series called Are We On Air? And I'm very honored to have you on the show. And the idea is to kind of paint a picture of who you are and what you do, but through a couple of songs. And so to begin with, what's your earliest significant musical memory that shaped you as an artist?
Besides the first single that I bought was Ma Baker by Bonnie M. But that didn't have much impact. The biggest impact, I guess, first impact was when I was 9. The first album I bought by Supertramp, Crisis, What Crisis? I only bought it on the strength of the cover, which shows a man in a deck chair and a sun umbrella sitting in an industrial grey wasteland, and sort of apocalyptic ideas, I guess, were around in previous decades just as much, and this sort of oxymoron I really liked. And then the music of that album is pretty amazing. I guess you may want to play. I'll tell you later which one. Yeah,
we'll play a track.
Although I'll rant and I'll rave about one thing and another, the beauty of it is, hope you'll agree, though I'm a poor boy, I can still be happy, long as I can feel free. So many people I know getting old way too early.
But it's funny how that the visual, that the album cover was what drew you to Supertramp in that case, right? It just shows you how important back then the image on the album cover was in comparison to today, where you stream everything. Have you done album covers before?
I have, but not a lot at all. I've done a Pet Shop Boys cover, Disco 3, and Tiga, a little here and there. But I once turned down unknowingly like a worldwide #1 album.
Lady Gaga.
No, Scissor Sisters. And it just somehow didn't seem to fit. Something was, and then it became this major success. But you know what they I think the cover they had was much better than what I could have.
Was that the one where a lot of things happening?
Yeah, like this sort of fairy tale paradise-ish,
yes,
you know, like totally like not what I would have done. And so I think they really, it worked out well for them. And then I, of course, ended up having a worldwide #1 record cover, which is Blonde.
Frank Ocean, yes, of course.
And that wasn't even scheduled to be the cover. He made it the cover, and it was the rest is history.
How did that come about? Did you reach out, or he reached out?
It was a shoot for Fantastic Man that in the end didn't run, and then he later got in touch and asked if he could use it for his album cover. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite track from that record?
I love it. I mean, I love the entire album, and of course I love Endless that came out the day before.
That's the way every day goes. Every time we've no control. If the sky is pink and white, if the ground is black and yellow, It's the same way you showed me. Nod my head, don't close my eyes. Halfway on a slow move. It's the same way you showed me. If you could fly, then you'd feel south. Up north's getting cold soon. The way it is, we're on land. So I'm someone to hold true. Keep you cool when it's still alive. Won't let you down when it's all ruined.
Well, how would you describe yourself with 3 songs? They don't have to be your tracks. It could be anything.
Well, without rehearsal, the first comes to mind is Small Town Boy by Bronski Beat.
Yeah. It's a great track. It's a great record. I was listening to it. I get like a 12-inch.
8 minutes.
Yeah.
No, it's so good and so timeless. Like it means today as much to first listeners at 16 as it meant 34 years ago or whenever, 36 years ago when it came out. The second...
what was it like? Sorry to interrupt, but what was it like when you heard it for the first time?
I was 15, just before turning 16, and just coming out at that moment. So the song was literally written for me. You know?
Wow.
It was unbelievable to have that suddenly on the radio. You know? When there wasn't really an out song in the charts before. Encouraging to feel you're not alone. No? This is a shared experience, no? And the video is, of course, so fantastic. Have a look on where you can watch it, and maybe I don't know why, but the second one that popped into my head just now is "Soul Inside" by Soft Cell from the last album of the band. They did 3.
The wind in my hair and the black in my eyes. I was holding back tears as I reeled with surprise. There was no one to phone. I just chewed at the time. I was waving goodbye to control of my mind and the beat of my heart, not the passing of time. And I just wanna scream to the sky.
And it just has an incredible drive and power and urgency of all the conflicts and passion and lust for life, but also a despair and the potential of depression inside. Yeah, trouble in a way, trouble in the most passionate and beautiful way. And the third is Dans nos obscurités from Thésée, which is a ecumenical monastery in France, founded after the Second World War as a sort of center for reconciliation, and they have their own music, which are repetitive chants, and they have been with me since I was an early teenager, and this one in particular, for example, is super wonderful. Dans nos obscurités, in our darkness light a fire that never goes out. Yeah, and of course there could be more, but you ask for three.
It's endless and it's indefinite. It changes, right? Also, as music is the soundtrack to your life, it goes with your life, so things change. But I like the repetition. It's obviously, I guess that's what drew you to electronic music and club culture. Is this repetition behind this? There's a rhythm behind it. Just keeps in some loop, so to say.
Yes, interesting you say the word loop, because that's one that I never really connected with. I never sort of see it as loops. I have a very strong visual understanding of music or imagination of music, and of course there can't be an interview about music with me without bringing up Blue Monday by New Order.
I mean, yeah, come on. One of the greatest tracks ever produced.
Which I, from the time, and I didn't even know that, I guess at the time, well, of course I knew that there are tracks, but I always had this visualization of when the different tracks come in and out, and how they build up and sandwich, so I see more a timeline and this sort of endless stream of time, or continuous stream of time, rather than a loop. Of course, like now on music computer, of course you see the loop, but I don't even like the look of when something is looped, you know how it just jumps back. I rather place them behind each other, but this preference for sort of single line or two line vocals is maybe, I don't know, something that the Tizé chants have. I mean, obviously they use them differently. But I have felt from an early age that there is something super deep in the minute changes of what is seemingly repetitive. You know, there might be repetitive elements, but there's this infinite beauty for those who can see it in the slight permutations and shifts and changes and evolution in electronic music and machine-made music, and how it is not cold. I mean, now that is all, of course, accepted, but there were times when people looked down on this, and thought this is like low quality. You know? And
when Kraftwerk came out, it was not a commercial success in that sense. I mean, it was a new sound, so to say, right? And obviously that influenced New Order later on, which became a big commercial success. And today, of course, electronic music is in your local bakery. You can hear it in the morning, right? And your mom's listening to it. So that's the evolution of that. Do you produce a lot?
I mean, I started 5 years ago after a 30-year pause, literally. You know,
wow. Okay.
By 18, when I was 19, there were 2 years where I made music intensively, and then expressed my love for music differently over the, with the camera and in other ways, and DJing occasionally, but making music last 5 years, and then in intensive bursts, in and whenever it fits in, or when an idea comes, there is a sort of ongoing relationship I have with Tim Knapp, whose studio is in the same street as my studio, and
convenient.
and I guess we met each other through an introduction, and coincidentally it was in the same street, and so I can just sort of come in, present, have an idea, we talk about it, and things develop either from single ideas, or there have been 3 summers on Fire Island where there have been a group of people, musicians, come together, and we worked on music, and Jay Pluck from this group, together with Kyle Combs and Tom Roach and Juan Pablo Echeverry. Jay would come to Berlin over New Year's, and then Tim and Jay and I would jam. And from that, often new things came. For example, Lifeguarding, the track that I released this summer, and that was part of the Berghain show.
Yeah.
That came from one of those extended jams, and my approach is to always record everything.
In general, also like with your camera, or just
No,
when it comes
not
to
at
music?
all with the camera. It's very different with the camera, but it does come from my experience from photography that that when I'm always ready with the camera, and when a photograph presents itself, you have to take it. You know, you can't sort of redo it, or at least I can't. You know, other people in other types of work, maybe they can, but for me, the experience is that if you feel it and it is there, and you don't take it, the going back has a different set of ideas and parameters in it, which make it inherently different. And with musicians, I learned, I experienced that they often think, oh, let's take another take. No, let's do this one again, or let's do that again. And maybe a part of me is lazy that I don't want to do it again. So we are then using a lot of the things that were initially recorded, but then Tim and in this year also Bruno Breitzke, also at Trix, they produce the music around it and what, you know, like bring this to a level like the track that you just heard, and because I'm there, we can shape them together, but they are the geniuses who also can do this.
Yeah. In the same, I spent 3 weeks now in Berlin. And I did something similar where, it's a ping pong, which I think is very interesting, to be in a studio with musicians or producers, and you just throw some ideas and you just see what happens. You throw some ideas at the wall and see what sticks. And of course, you need somebody who actually can use the tools to create the nuances. But I want to go back to the point when you said when you started music when you were younger, what made you pick up the camera instead of continuing the music? I mean, obviously you captured what was happening around you, and incredible iconic images now of the early 90s of like club culture and nightlife. But what was the turning point? Why that you're like, you know what, I want to see, take the visual. I'm more drawn to the visual than and take the visual of the audio, so to say, right?
It really was the fact that Bert Lessmann, the friend who I made music with back then, left town, and pretty sudden, and I never mustered up the chance to sort of find a new setup, a new partner, and at that time I was very much experimenting with other media, like making clothes and painting and drawing, and photocopies, and the photocopies won, and maybe that was also the seemingly least expressive medium, the electronic medium. I ended up finding I could express myself the best, and with this mechanical instrument, the laser photocopier, I then made work, and then I moved to Hamburg, and had organized a small exhibition and needed more pictures to photocopy, and I ended up buying a camera, and in a little while I realized I could actually speak with the photographs that I took better, and that was the moment of acid house happening, and ecstasy culture, and it was just such a amazing moment in liberation in '89 that I wanted to photograph it, and I bought a small flash gun for like $20 and took it to the clubs, and because I felt I need to report, when somebody needs to record this, I need to tell sort of others about this, or we need a record of this, because.
So you just shot it because we just need to archive this moment right now.
Well,
or was there an idea behind I want to release it or show it to the public at some point, or was it just like for me and my friends?
It was. I mean, I was a huge fan of ID magazine, and they in the '80s and early '90s they did parties once a month in a different European city, and I went to Amsterdam with my friend Lutz to one, and then we went to Copenhagen to the next, and for Copenhagen I prepared this little booklet with pictures from Hamburg to give to them, to lure them to Hamburg. Come on, please come to Hamburg, do a party here, and then they did, and they asked me to be the photographer, and so that was my first editorial photography, and it sort of. I never looked back, this sort of co-existence of editorial contributions and exhibiting my work, like using and valuing magazine pages as an equal place for my work to exist, equal to a gallery wall, stems from exactly back then, 88, 89, and and then I guess, so I was always in music, and there was so much to express with photography that maybe it was more, I don't know. It worked fine. I think I'm really...
Here we are. Do you remember a track that you associate with that period? Like Acid House? Acid House period?
It's the... if you want to play one briefly, then I think Acid Over by Tyree. I don't know if you know that one. The Tyree Cooper. That will sound great for a couple of minutes, but he has another song which is unbelievably good, and it's called "I Am," by Tyree. But it's better if you just listen to it on your own for 6 minutes.
There will be a playlist, so people can listen to the whole thing as well.
Free. Oh, so free. I'm free. Free.
It's funny, like I did an exhibition with, do you know Bill Bernstein, the photographer? I did an exhibition with his work, and it's literally 10 years. You captured the zeitgeist of '89, which was like acid house, and he did the same with disco, obviously 10 years before that in New York City, capturing all the underground clubs and underground from Studio 54 all the way to Paradise Garage and so forth. And it's funny how, and he said something similar, like he was just there by chance with the camera and seeing what's happening in front of him, and he's like, I need to capture this. This is for future generations, so to say. And looking in that tradition, looking also at our world today, if you're a young photographer or artist, how would you approach it today? Or could you tell a young person, so to say, what's the best approach to do this? Or to look around, what's happening? I mean, it's an exciting time. You don't have the club culture per se right now because of COVID, but I'm sure there are other exciting things happening culturally that...
Yeah, I mean, I understand that it isn't easy. It never is to like forge your own voice and to identify what. But you know what might be successful, but that's the wrong question. No? So like I always suggest to ask yourself what is missing. Like I did what I felt was missing in terms of representation of my generation, for example, at the time. No? Like young people were usually looked at as not to be taken seriously, really, you know? Like as if they are in a passing phase. And I saw the complex, multi-layered, serious beings that I saw in myself when I was 20 or 23, and wanted to represent my fellow humans as these serious people rather than
the drug-taking maniacs that there was in the immediate public eye. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is, of course, a much changed environment we're in today with a lot of creative production that goes unremunerated, which is a huge problem, as we know, in music, in photography, in many different ways. People are not willing to pay.
Well, obviously, technology plays a big role in that. Where, I mean, everybody's a photographer now, right? The phone and Instagram changed things. What's your view on that? Like, on, let's say, social media and literally everybody being a photographer in that sense, or thinking they're a great photographer.
Well, I don't know if everyone thinks they're a great
Not everyone, but I'm like, you know, like the medium of photography is a whole different thing than when you started, for instance, right? It's,
yeah.
I mean, not just saying analog versus digital. I think we're past that point even to have that conversation. It's digital, even though you and I probably love analog, but it's in your pocket. There's no discussion about it, man. This is growing up today, for instance,
yeah.
right? That's your reality.
No, it is incredibly powerful. No? We don't, and one doesn't. I don't know what it will mean in the long run. You know how this will influence literally the makeup of people's brains growing up with this extension of a camera to their thoughts, and I kind of, I mean, yeah, like we are on the way to pictures probably maybe becoming replacements for language. No? I mean, it's
actually. It's going back to hieroglyphics, basically, right? The emoji is the modern hieroglyphic.
Yes. So it's, I mean, it's. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on because it's like, you know, everybody like has thoughts on it, and they are.
Well, we can easily take it back to the music because you used to shoot analog and today you shoot digital.
Yes.
If you could choose a song that represents your period of shooting analog and a song period of digital?
Yeah, I mean, it predates me being active, but of course, the other song that that would certainly make it into the top 3 that define me is Like a Hurricane by Neil Young in the live Rust version, which is, I guess, that's what's maybe why it touches me so much, because it's so handmade, but it also works with this constant like developments of similar themes and repetition and warping and development of sounds and this incredible voice. Have
you ever seen him live?
I did finally, like 5 years ago at Waldbühne near the Olympiastadion, which was so good to see.
Wow, yeah.
He is really on my top of my list to photograph, but I somehow never happened.
Once I thought I saw you in a crowded hazy bar, dancing on the light from star to star. Far across the moonbeam, I know that's who you are. I saw your brown eyes turning once to fire. You are like a hurricane. There's calm in your eyes, and I'm getting blown away somewhere safer where the feet.
I'm sure we can make that happen.
I would love
work.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And for the digital age, so to say.
By the way, another analog
Please.
one, which was more at the time, and Country Feedback by REM, which hits, like, always gets me. It's one of my favorites, and also very analog. So I'm not at all anti-analog at all, and actually I see myself still as an analog photographer, even though I use digital cameras, because I don't. And I mean analog in the way that I don't retouch, I don't move pixels around. So where the light hit the sensor, that's where it stays.
This flower is scorched, this film is on a matinee mirror. It's close. These clothes don't fit us right. I'm to blame. It's all the same. It's all the same. You come to me with the bone in your hand. You come to me with your hair curled tight. You come to me with positions.
And the digital, I guess, Marbles by Plastic Man from his 1994 album Music with a Z.
I was literally just listening to it like 2 days ago.
That album?
Yeah, because I interviewed Richie last week.
Oh, wow.
And released the episode yesterday, Friday. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I was listening to all his stuff again. Yeah.
That is a masterpiece, I would say.
Timeless.
Yeah.
He actually says, he says hi.
Oh.
Same with Honey Dijon. I was just with her. She says hi too.
Oh, nice one, nice one.
Yeah. Okay, great. But it's a Wolfgang story. Well, we're in your studio, and I love that. I'm also sitting at your production desk, so to say, for music. Do you listen to music when you shoot and when you work, or is it usually silence?
Do I listen to music? I listen to music when I install exhibitions. That's very important to me. And so the rooms, they don't have, the rooms in galleries and museums obviously don't have very dry acoustic, quite echoey and live. I guess when I edit photographs, I do listen to music too. But I never, I don't, I mean, I have earphones and earpods, but I never use them. I just really don't. I used to love listening to music on trains and planes, but I somehow never do.
Yeah. But has music literally, like, or a track ever influenced a piece of work directly, or it's usually very abstract? Like, yeah, I curate my room for the exhibition and I play. What do you listen to though? Even when you put an exhibition together, is it just a general playlist or something very specific?
I mean, it can be. You know, there are also like, I mean, I mentioned all-time classics. But for example, there was like 2012. The show in Stockholm at Moderna Museet, it was all the Trust album. Do you know the band, the project by Robert Alphonse from Los Angeles? It's spelled TR/ST, and so that will always be connected to Stockholm Moderna Museet for me.
Well, that's the power of sound. It's like a scent, right? It
Yes.
takes you. It can take you right away to a moment, a person, a place.
Road to Rome, no paper trail, no mercy shown. For heaven's sake, shit down the world, ashamed to love. See friends or refuse to come. Jericho, travel alone, and knock it off till you see that beauty's gone. Perfect bloom, perfect mind. Sell it as a slug curved out of sight. It's been a while.
And of course, that I don't know if it goes for everyone, but for me, I do regret that I don't have that many smell-like memories of songs anymore, like I used to in earlier life. And you know that yes, there is Rocker by Alter Ego for the summer of 2004. And a Stock Exchange Woman by Miss Kitten and the Hacker for the autumn 2001.
Shaking hands in the back of Mercedes cars, saying whiskey, colas in business hotel bars. The wheel of high heels tears me apart like a Harvard #1 broken heart. Attaché case change at my golden arm, carrying the last top secret lucky charm. Sunglasses on my nose in the pouring rain, dreaming about a hot bath cutting my veins.
So I have a strong date memory. I can tell things often 20 years later by the month. Yeah, it really is like nothing else. Music. I mean, that's a pretty lame thing to say, like a pretty truism to say. But and at the same time, you know, my friend Isa Gensken, she said about art, visual art, what's so great about it is that you can actually see it in 1 second. And that, and also, and she said it positively, but also regretting, you know, that you don't, you know, yeah, I mean, you can spend minutes, of course you can spend hours, you can also, if you live with it, it's in your life in a different way. But how one can take something in visually in real time is also incredibly powerful. And that's what I love about art, visual art.
Because it can go both ways, right? You can either, as you said, a split second, or actually go deep into it.
Yes.
Which has the good and the bad, I guess.
Yeah.
What Isa was trying to say.
And so, so in that way, music production doesn't come too natural to me. You know, like it's,
I know exactly.
You know, like I work with Mark Greta here, whose chair you're sitting on, and or with Tim, with others. I mean, I do say I want to get my hands closer to it, and we're just at the moment having me work on field recordings that are made in a concrete, prefabricated concrete element factory.
Oh wow!
And so there is, when I get into it, I can then also sit there, and I don't regret that it isn't instant, because of course it's instant in that moment. No, it is there.
Do you have a recorder with you usually? Do you do a lot of field recordings?
Yes, yeah, that I had done like many years, like from before I actually then started to actively make music, and maybe that accumulation of field recordings prompted me, and the first track that I made was Make It Up As You Go Along, which has all the percussions come from printing presses, which I recorded 2011. So it's sort of been a long time in this interest in photographing sound.
Make it up as you go along. 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 Make it up as you go along.
I was about to say, I mean, that's your thing. It's capturing what's around you, and also the sound. That's pretty cool. I love that. I do that myself a lot, because there's so many interesting sounds happening on your day-to-day around you that most people don't even pay attention to. You know, and that's what's so fascinating. Like in the most simple things sometimes.
Yeah.
You know.
And so I'm a very tactile person. I like to feel what things feel like, but then I often do sound them also. I do hit them or knock them and record that, and those Tim has a library of all my sounds and recordings, and wherever he can, he uses them as sort of instruments.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, maybe we can hear some of them later. Well, one of your lyrics from one of your tracks, "Live stream your life," which I think is such a genius sentence.
With the Samsung telephone, we don't call it telephone. I think I saw billboards describing life interactivity, life sharing, live posting, streaming of your videos. The new Samsung
In what ways do you see technology influencing culture and vice versa, or vice versa?
Technology
Influencing culture in general, or is it the other way around? You know.
I mean, I guess it's the biggest story of today. No, I mean there isn't. It's just everything is shaped by technology, and we are of course thinking this is unique. This is unique now. This is like, but the invention of the steam engine and the invention of motion, motorized motion, the experience of speed, has shaped culture like in unthinkable ways. No, things were you couldn't imagine them beforehand, and so technology has always led to new art. And for example, silk screening has been around for a while, but only in the late 50s, early 60s, photo silk screening became something one could do, and that made pop art, like Warhol's pictures, paintings, possible, and you just couldn't do them in 1940 or 1920. People, so like it moves in mysterious ways, no? And that's of course, I guess, I mean, the human mind obviously is and artists are constantly exploring what is possible, no? I mean, famously, obviously, the Roland 303 bassline computer, which was only really invented to sort of substitute a bass player in a production, and then people looked at what happens when we turn these knobs too far and against each other, and
something new came out of it,
and abusing a machine and a whole music culture that's with us now for 30 years plus was born. So let's see where it will take us. No, there is, of course.
No.
Yes.
Well, from all your nights out, I'm sure you DJ'd. I saw you DJ at Berghain
3 years ago.
3 years ago, something like that. First of all, I loved what you did. You were playing at Berghain, not Panorama Bar, and it was probably just before New Year's Eve.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're playing a great electronic techno set. A lot of compact stuff, I heard. And then in the middle of the set, you dropped Einstürzende Neubau. Neubau, yeah. And I'll never forget, it was such a beautiful moment, but everybody kind of stopped in their tracks.
Oh, no, I played Can.
Was it Can?
I think it was Can.
Yeah. But there was no beat in that sense, and because everyone was in this monotonic kind of move and dance, and suddenly you just stopped in the middle of the set, and I thought it was such a cool move. It's like only Wolfgang can do that. Do you remember what track that was?
Paper House by Can, I really think, but maybe there was also a Neubauten one. There were like a couple of, I mean, one that I used to love to drop was "Go Your Own Way" by Fleetwood Mac.
Oh yes,
that's also like quite has a strong effect on the dance floor.
I love these like out of the norm kind of moments because everyone makes it so special at night. That's stuff people remember afterwards as well.
You can go your own
remember like a fun anecdote, a moment from all your gigs or nights out actually over the years that stuck with you?
Yeah, I mean, there are not that many gigs. No, like I used to DJ like once or twice a year.
Yeah, but
and
what, 10
and
by now?
over the years it does add up, of course. But I guess it's like telling club stories is. But there was a club called Trade in London in the 90s, and I mean that was that was the first club that had a 24-hour dance license in the UK, and it just that was like long before Berghain and the sort of 48-hour clubbing. So like to be dancing at 7 a.m. on a Sunday just seems so literally kind of dangerous. It was like this big machine in this like double basement. Like you had to walk down. It felt like really basementy, and I guess basement clubs have a very special vibe to them. No? The Tresor. I'm very happy that I experienced
it, yeah.
some nights in the original Tresor.
That must.
But
be
anyway,
incredible.
like this sounds like all this old yarn.
People can imagine. Just imagine it.
But it's actually like now I mentioned like the two sort of super famous legends. But I'm really happy in small, trashy, small town clubs. I'm really like just in my mind's eye a small gay club in Lima with just like one little pocket laser on a disco ball and self-made sound system. I think it's that's a great joy of a pleasure that comes with my exhibition practice, like going to different cities, and in the last 10 years, increasingly on other continents other than North America, Europe, Japan, to then live and work for 2 weeks in a city and delve into the nightlife and try to find out what's going on and that universal language is something that really excites me. And so it doesn't have to be like always the superlative or the coolest or the best. It just touches me when people have genuine experience with music and togetherness. This sort of being together without fear is the best.
Concur, couldn't said it better. And that fear we just talked about before the interview of what's going to happen after COVID. Like, besides that, it's going to be allowed that you can go back into clubs and bars, but the psychological awareness and fear of being in an enclosed environment, small enclosed environment, people breathing down your neck, so to say, that's going to, I think, have a longer effect on nightlife and music in general, I guess, how we're going to experience that. But hopefully that's going to change quick. There's going to be a quick transition.
Yeah, I mean, when people say things will never be the same, I'm cautious because when you look at paintings from like the 1600s of village fairs and how people were sitting together, really tight together in a time when there were no antibiotics. There were plagues around, and then they went, and when there was no plague around, or I guess even when plagues were around, people didn't know that it might be the way of transmission. But anyway, so the what we experience now is how deeply human it is to want to be together and to want to physically be close together. And I don't think that will be suppressible once it's medically okay to do so again.
The natural drive of belonging together, being together. Yeah, it's stronger, I think, than that. I agree. Yeah, I can agree. You just had an exhibition here in Berlin at Galerie Buchholz.
Yes.
With some new works. Did the past year, so to say, influence the work? Has your work process, your creative work, has been influenced by COVID?
Yeah, I mean the show was meant or is meant to run until the end of January, but of course now it will close on Wednesday. I hope we can reopen it at some point in January or extend it in February. And yeah, of course this year. I mean, every year influences my life. No, there is sort of no particular marker or pointer on a day that I say, oh, this might influence my life. You know, this is an ongoing process, and it's, of course, yes. I mean, when this started and evolved, of course, it dawned on me that this is probably one of the biggest things that I experienced in my life. No? But there was also Chernobyl in 1986, which, like, from the perspective back then, was like a all-encompassing nuclear threat, and of course the AIDS crisis was another virus that had huge existential impact, and had the world reacted to that with similar urgency rather than disgust and denial, many lives would have been saved. But this year has, of course, found its way into my work, but it also allowed things to come out that I had the time to discover them, because I don't always look at my photographs in the year that I took them. I kind of...
or you keep a distance?
I sometimes keep a distance, yeah, like there are sometimes trips that, like, things that I haven't literally looked at for 5 years, it's a technique. You know, sometimes, of course, I look at pictures the same day or the next day, but sometimes to let them, to just not look at them, and then you look at them 2 years later, it makes you so much more, what's the word? I mean, maybe not neutral, and honest is also the wrong word, but you can see them so much clearer, to see the merit, see what's good and see what's not so good. The closer to the time of making a work, I guess anything, a song, a piece of writing, a photograph, closer to the time you're wanting, your desire for this to be good is biggest. And so you're kind of blind, or you're at least blinded or strongly influenced by that, by that desire. And when that wanting it to be good, when that wanting is gone or less, then of course it's much clearer to see. But you know, and one doesn't have that opportunity often to take so much time, but to play with that, and even if I have released pictures and then going back after some years and looking around that same time might let me realize that there's something good that I wasn't ready to see, to recognize.
So basically time gives you sometimes a space to be more objective again, looking
Yes.
at the pieces.
Because really most of my work is studying my wanting, studying all the interferences, studying and asking myself the question: is this possible? Can I do this? Is this believable? Is this just my vain wanting to create, or is there like a deeper motivation behind something? And so language is complicating things because we want to label things, and so that's really what and how I make my exhibitions and my books. So by constantly, or not constantly, but here and then listening in on them and hearing what do they sound like. I mean, what does a room, what does a picture sound like? So I have quite sort of musical terms of thinking about pictures and visual images for thinking about music.
I love that. You should definitely do more album covers, that's for sure. Well, before we wrap up our chat with a couple of specific songs, I just wanted, you pointed out, and I just want to quickly go back, because I see parallels between the COVID crisis and HIV crisis. And I agree with you that why has this not been sped up, right, to the way it's with COVID, it's like within, not even a year. Why do you think is that? Why has there had been such a long period of neglect, as you said, and then it's been years and decades by now, and still...
Well, I mean, the science, I mean, the makeup of HIV is so particularly clever in a nasty, terrible way, that it is constantly changing, and it is attacking the very cells that are there to take out viruses and bacteria, and itself, it builds itself into the very DNA of the cells that are designed to produce those killer cells. So it's, of course, since '96, treatment is available, and it now is a disease you don't have to die of, and you are expected to have the same life expectancy as somebody HIV negative now when you're treated and regularly take the medication. But a vaccine has been elusive ever since treatment was found. And I mean, some cynical people say that, of course, there is a lot more money in treating millions of people for life than having one vaccine that is a shot and that you need to take every 10 years. So the financial interest may not be as huge for private pharmaceutical companies to look for vaccines. And here with COVID, it's like, of course, it's like a huge financial incentive to find that vaccine. But of course, the original dragging feet in the 80s was that also, politically, AIDS was not seen as such an urgent thing because it affected undesirable people, like gays and drug users, and disproportionately affected black communities initially. In the very beginning, it was people from Haiti. That was not, there to scare mainstream politics.
So it was not the urgency agenda. Well, thanks for that answer. To kind of quickly go back to the songs, what's your go-to heartbreak or falling in love song?
I mean, I guess like a Hurricane by Neil Young is like, I am just a dreamer, but you are just a dream. And yeah.
Before the
when you're out and about, when COVID is done, what's this? And you're feeling sexy. What's the sexiest song? It's a tricky one.
I know.
I get all kinds of answers to this.
Really?
One. Yeah, because
Yeah.
everybody sees sexiness completely different. And what is sexiness?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you get the obvious choices like the Marvin Gaye's and so forth, but then you also get like very dark techno. You know, like I get everything is sexy too.
I mean, yeah, maybe like Los Niños de las Parques from Les Liaisons Dangereuses. That
Sounds great.
Yes, I think that one is
like
pretty sexy. But I don't have strong connections of that word in music.
1, 2, 3, 4. Los niños en el parque son muy afortunados. Van paseando y se echan el parque. Son muy afortunados. Van paseando y sueñan caramelos. A pesos sin dinero. Los niños y las niñas.
Well, to wrap up our chat, it's been a real pleasure. If your life would be a movie, what song would play in the end credits? Take your time. Light the cigarette.
Yes, where is the later?
I love their workman's
Yes.
trousers. I love that.
It's a Swedish brand called Snickers.
Sneakers. Yeah, it's so cool. Bags left and right. Yeah, it's so practical.
Maybe Blue Monday by New Order. I think that would be quite fitting.
How does it feel to treat me like you do? When you laid your hands on me and told me who you are. Thought I was mistaken. I thought I heard your words. Tell me how do I feel? Tell me now how do I feel? Those who came before me lived through their vocations. From the past until completion, we'll turn away no more.
I like it. Well, Wolfgang, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really enjoyed that. I don't know. Can I say that? Yeah, I don't know. Well, at least it wasn't painful being. It didn't feel like questioned.
No,
Even though
that's the idea behind it. Everybody has usually positive association with when it comes to music, and it's a nice thing, right?
Yes.
It brings up nice memories, and
even though it does surprise me how many people actually don't have a passion for music.
Yeah.
No? Like when you have it, it's so unimaginable not to have it. But there are. I mean, I have friends who are just very sort of without regret or embarrassment, just say,
very neutral about it.
Very neutral
sure, whatever
about it.
comes up. Actually, I don't know if I can say this, but I guess I can. Ai Weiwei was they kind of agreed to do an interview, which I was super excited. But then they looked into the series and said, "Oh, it's about music," and I doesn't really listen to music, so the interview was off, which was totally fine. I mean, obviously. But I thought it was interesting because,
But of course, the same with visual art. No? So
Yeah.
many more people are into music, I'm sure. But it's what it is.
I love speaking to artists about music. Or actually also with movie makers. It's such a... Because it's a different medium that they usually get asked to, but also that they associated with. But sometimes the knowledge is so in-depth. Because, of course, it's a great reference point. I mean, they create audio mood boards. Actually, that was something I wanted to ask you. Do you create audio mood boards?
No.
No.
Yes.
Thank you, Wolfgang.
All right. Thank you.
For this episode's playlist, visit areweonair.com, where you'll be able to enjoy the full playlist mentioned in this conversation.